$2.8 billion. I want you to hit the pause button in your brain for just a second, because the sheer magnitude of that number is honestly staggering. In 2021 alone, this massive pile of money wasn't lost to some super sophisticated network hack or a complex phishing scam. No, this was the exact amount stolen in crypto through one specific, devastating, and here's the crazy part, entirely preventable tactic.
And that brings us to a really harsh truth about the space. Code worked perfectly. Morality didn't. The implication here is wild when you really think about it. These massive financial losses weren't caused by broken systems or shadowy outsiders hacking a mainframe. They were perfectly executed legal heists. The victims literally willingly clicked confirm, signed the smart contracts, and basically just handed over the keys to their own vaults. Blockchain technology is amazing, but it absolutely does not reverse human greed.
So, welcome to This Explainer. Today we are demystifying crypto rug pulls. Think of the next few minutes as a highly concentrated digital vaccine. We're going to get you protected from the smartest thieves in Web3 and make absolutely sure you never willingly hand over your hard-earned ETH to a scammer.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll cover the anatomy of a rug, spotting the red flags, real-world crypto heists, the 15-minute audit, and we'll wrap it up with rug-proof investing. Let's make sure neither of us ever becomes someone else's exit liquidity. All right, Section 1, Anatomy of a Rug. How does this theft actually happen? Well, first, we need to draw a really hard line between a hack and a rug pull. It's like this. A hack happens when outsiders break into the code. They smash the window and steal your stuff. A rug pull, however, happens when the creators themselves abuse their inherent privileges to just remove the economic support of a token. When you buy into a rug pull, the developer takes your money and leaves you holding a bag of tokens worth absolutely zero. And because you explicitly signed that contract, it's technically legal theft. Wild, right? Now, we already know the basics of how liquidity pools work, pairing assets like a new token and ETH so people can actually trade. But the key here is the LP tokens that prove ownership of that pool. Think of those LP tokens as the master keys to the vault. If a developer owns 100% of those LP tokens, they can yank the liquidity and drain the entire pool in about 12 seconds flat. And this vulnerability, it takes a bunch of different shapes across the ecosystem. You've got your hard rugs, where liquidity is yanked instantly. Then there are soft rugs, where the developers just kind of slowly abandon the project. You'll see mint and dumps, where they print infinite tokens, treasury drains, honeypots, where you literally are blocked from selling, and even exchange rugs, like what happened with FTX. So why are these scams everywhere? Pure economics. Setting one of these up costs a developer maybe $500. The payout? It can be upwards of $4 million. Great, that's an 8,000x return. No wonder they keep doing it. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, spotting the red flags. What are the signs of a rug? These psychological and technical tripwires show up almost every single time. Look out for totally anonymous teams with zero track history. Watch out if the team owns more than 20% of the unlocked tokens, because that is just a massive dump waiting to happen. If the smart contract contains a mint function, run. The owner can just print tokens out of thin air. Also, be incredibly wary of an unlocked liquidity pool or marketing that screams extreme urgency. You know the type. 1000x gem, ending in 1 hour. And here is a critical reality check. Just because a project has a CertiK audit does not mean it's safe. Audits check for code bugs. They absolutely do not check for malicious intent. Never let extreme FOMO destroy your due diligence. If you remember nothing else, remember this, the rule of 3. If a project has 3 or more of these red flags, just walk away. Seriously, don't try to rationalize it to yourself. The data shows that 95% of rugs actually have 10 or more red flags. I know it's hard to fight the human urge to trust, but in crypto, we have to trust the code, not the humans. Let's take all this theory into Section 3, real-world crypto heists. Let's look at some absolutely devastating cases. This timeline brilliantly illustrates exactly how fast things can go south. Look at Anubis DAO back in October 2021. They pitched a project, people went crazy for it, and they raised over 13,500 ETH in their launch. And then, just 20 hours later, the developers withdrew the liquidity. Poof! $60 million vanished in less than a day, simply because investors completely ignored the fact that the devs were anonymous and the liquidity was unlocked. Then we have the infamous Squid token and evolved apes. Squid token was a classic honeypot. The code physically blocked anyone from selling. The token pumped massively, it hit mainstream news, everyone was buying in, and then the developer dumped it all, trapping $3.3 million. And Evolved Apes showed us that NFTs aren't immune either. Their treasury wasn't locked in a secure multi-sig contract. It was sitting in a single unsecure wallet, which allowed an anon dev to just walk away with $2.7 million. And of course, we can't ignore the centralized exchange rugs, like the absolutely massive $8 billion FTX collapse. It's the oldest rule in the book. If you don't hold your keys, you carry massive counterparty risk. But hey, there is a silver lining here. Look at the Frosties NFT scam. The developers vanished with $1.2 million, but the DOJ actually tracked them down and arrested them for wire fraud. So, despite the illusion of Web3 anonymity, rug pulls are highly, highly illegal.
So how do we actively fight back? That brings us to Section 4, the 15-minute audit. Time to read like a detective.
Honestly, you might want to screenshot this exact checklist. First, verify the market listing on CoinGecko just to make sure it's even legitimate. Second, pull up the Etherscan contract and literally just hit Control F for the words mint or blacklist. If you see those, huge warning sign. Third, analyze the token distribution. Does a single whale dominate the top token holders? Fourth, ensure the DeFi score on Dextools is actually above 70. Fifth, run a quick test on Honeypot to verify you can actually sell the thing. And finally, check Unicrypt to confirm the liquidity pool is locked up for at least 6 months. Guys, this takes maybe 15 minutes and it can save you thousands. And look, if everything on that checklist looks clear, there is one final, crucial check. Buy exactly $1 worth of the token and immediately try to sell it back. If it fails, boom, you found a hidden honeypot. And let's be real, taking a $1 loss is a much, much better lesson than taking a $1,000 loss. Always test the smart contract yourself. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Rug-Proof Investing. Let's talk about portfolio rules.
Consider adopting what's known as the barbell strategy. It works like this. You allocate 90% of your portfolio to highly safe assets. Think Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC. Then put 9% into audited, established blue-chip tokens. That leaves exactly 1% for the degen plays, the risky new tokens. By structuring it this way, an absolute total rug pull on a new token only sets your entire portfolio back by 1%. You barely feel it, and you survive to trade another day.
And you absolutely need to build essential wallet security habits. Keep anything over $1,000 in a cold hardware wallet like a ledger. Start using a tool like Rabby to actually run transaction simulations before you blindly sign them. Make it a habit to do a monthly cleanup using revoke.cash to ditch contract approvals you don't need anymore. If you do happen to get rugged, make sure you harvest those capital losses for tax deductions to soften the blow. And critically, please listen to this. Never, ever send gas fees to someone promising they can recover your stolen funds. That is literally always a secondary scam. Here's the bottom line. The blockchain is a fully transparent public ledger. Every single rug pull leaves obvious clues right there in the smart contract, in the liquidity locks, and in the transaction history. These criminals are banking on you acting purely on emotion and totally ignoring the data. So I leave you with this final question. Will you take the 15 minutes to be the detective? Or are you just going to be their next exit liquidity? The choice is entirely yours. Keep learning, stay vigilant, and please use the tools we talked about today